What's up, man?
Yeah. Thank you. I'm good. I just wanted to ask like a sort of a fun question first for everyone as well, not just you guys. So just sort of who would you say out of the Bible sort of like prophets and apostles, or for Muslims in the comment, prophets and Sahaba, are most reflective of your character and your life and your story? Like, who would you guys say? Like, because I'm gonna rewatch this and read the comments. I want everyone to sort of like just give it something, just something like we can actually discuss instead of go at each other sort of like, oh, Christianity is this, Islam's that. Yeah, something a bit nicer. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. Matter of fact, I'll let the comment section say me.
Yeah.
Comment section. What if there's a prophet or anybody in the Bible that I most resemble? Who do you guys think it is? I want to see what the comment section says.
Yeah. So I wanted to just see what again. So because I'm gonna rewatch this, see what people say, different sort of like opinions. Yeah, it's something funny as well, just for everyone to talk something positive. Do you know what I mean? Instead of
snap, I got a Samuel.
Yeah.
Solomon.
Okay, all right. But yeah, also thank you everyone for yesterday. The sort of like comments that you gave me, both positive and negative. Like honestly, that both of the positive and negative comments that you gave me personally, it's just making me stronger. So thank you all as well.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Somebody said I remind them of Aisha. It's crazy. No, I think they're
that's wild.
Someone said David. Someone said I can't believe someone said Solomon, man. Solomon. He had
some trouble, man. Solomon had a lot of time in his hand.
I ain't got them problems, man. I ain't got the problems,
man. Solomon's like, man, I read a lot of books. I spent some time with some honey bunnies. I planted a garden. My man had too much time in his hand, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So back to the topic now about the New Testament. Yeah. One thing I'm like sort of struggling to understand is, like the sort of, I think it's Matthew chapter 5. Yeah, chapter 5, 17, 5:17, where it's talking about the laws in the Old Testament that's sort of going to be continued or fulfilled. What does that actually mean in terms of laws for Christians?
Where does it say that in the passage that's going to be? Are you a Muslim?
Yeah, so I'm Muslim, but I'm in the middle, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Sunni Muslim.
Okay, yeah. So this passage doesn't really say what you're saying. All he's claiming about is the idea that he's not going to come and destroy it, and that the Torah is in existence. But a lot of people, and people who don't know the Hebrew Bible, they think that the Torah or the law is something that's static. The law wasn't static, not even in the beginning when it was given, right? And we have laws before Moses goes to Mount Sinai, and then we have the laws that were given changing before they even make it into the promised land, right? So just, so the law is not static. The law is something that's dynamic and adapts to a current situation and condition. And even in Isaiah, it talks about the coastlands waiting for the Torah of the Messiah. And the New Testament tells us we're under the law, the Namas Christos, the Torah HaMashiach, the law of the Messiah, right? So we're really under the law of the Messiah, which incorporates his view and vision of the whole of the Bible, right? Because you can bring a rabbinic Jew up and he'd say, I follow the Torah, right? And I'm like, well, do you keep the laws of menstrual impurity? Well, no, because those don't apply to me. Do you follow the laws of the temple? No, because there's no temple. Do you follow the laws of course? Oh, so you're saying that the law has to apply to a condition, a time period that's relevant for the law, right? So same thing. When we go to Jeremiah 31, look what he says. Let's go to real quick. I think it's important. If you could pop that screen up real quick, Avery.
Gotcha.
A quick question as well. Do you know about this commentary that you use, Radar? Is that something I can access, or is it something that you've made yourself? Or
this is Accordance module. I told Accordance they need to stop playing and sponsor me because I keep bigging them up on every single video. I said they got to come through and give me a package or something. You know what I mean? But this is Accordance. You can get all the modules on here, and they're available, and you can buy them in parts. So the program is called Accordance. They have logos. Logo seems a little bit better for most people. So, all right, we'll check this out. All right, so this is Jeremiah 31. This is basically the new covenant which we're in. But he doesn't just say a new covenant's coming. He qualifies what that new covenant is and how it's different. He said, "Days are coming when I will make a new covenant." This is Brit Chadashah with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Well, where are the Gentiles? Well, the Gentiles join the house of Israel and the house of Judah. They join God's people, right? But this part's really important. It's not like the covenant which I made with their fathers in the day I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. Why? Because they broke my covenant, although I was a husband to the Lord. But this is the covenant which I will make. I'll put my law, my Torah within them in their hearts. I'll be their God and they shall be my people. So the idea is that the new covenant has within itself a new Torah, not a Torah that eradicates what came before, but
Okay.
builds upon it, refines it, and clarifies it. And even the rabbis teach that when the Messiah comes, he's going to bring us a new Torah with new commandments, and he's going to clarify for us everything that came before and everything else we got wrong. So the rabbis are building upon this. So
Okay.
when Jesus talks about he didn't come to destroy it. No, he didn't come to destroy what was before, but he
Okay.
builds upon it, he clarifies it, refines us, and gives us the true meaning. Like one
Okay.
example that's really important, under the old covenant, you were able to divorce, right? And you were able to have multiple wives. Jesus clarifies these things and says divorce is only for what? Sexual immorality. And then he goes on to say that it should only be one man and one woman. You shouldn't be having multiple wives.
Okay.
So he
Okay.
brings the inner beauty of the commandments and even elevates the commandments. The Torah tells us don't commit adultery. Jesus says don't even look at a woman with lust because then you've committed adultery in your heart, right? The Torah tells
Yeah.
us don't unalive, don't kill. Jesus says don't even hate a person. In many ways, the Messiah is even stricter than Moses, and in other places, more lenient because he's given us the true meaning of the Torah that was given, and it's
Right.
his Torah that we're under.
So would you say like pragmatism? Do you know what pragmatism is in terms
You
of
could break it
law?
down what you mean by pragmatism.
Yeah. So how I'm trying to talk about pragmatism is sort of gradual, um, like you said, buildings upon law that we have, um, based off of like understanding and sort of the time as well. So that's pragmatism in terms of like political structures. Yeah, not necessarily religious. What I'm trying to say is, through Christianity, does that idea sort of live, or because, for example, in Sharia law, it's a
Mhm.
totalitarian state where you essentially don't have free speech, right? So what I'm trying to say is, oh God, like, yeah. So would you say the Christian political structure is pragmatic or not?
I think so. A lot of people think that, oh, you're in the new covenant now. You're in
Okay,
something that's new, right? And you're in something that's, different from what God gave Moses. I would say that what God gave Moses is the thing that's new. And then
right.
when we're in the new covenant, we go back to the original intent, which predated the Torah that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai. And I'll prove it to you from the Torah.
Okay,
Exodus 25 gives the stipulations for the tabernacle, where the altars are going to be given, its association with the priesthood, right? But look at Exodus 25:40. God says, "See that you make them what? The implements and everything for the tabernacle after the pattern for them, which was shown you on the mountain." So this is saying that God showed Moses a tabernacle in heaven, and that the one that Moses makes is a copy, right?
right. Okay.
So the one that's in heaven is the real tabernacle. The one in earth is in the copy, right? So if there's a tabernacle in heaven, what does that mean? So if the tabernacle on earth has a priesthood, then the tabernacle in heaven has a what?
A priesthood.
A priesthood, right? So
Yeah.
it's not that the priesthood of Melchizedek, the priesthood of the Messiah is the new one. The priesthood that the Messiah has is the original one. And the one
Okay.
that Moses
Okay.
serves as a copy and shadow.
Okay. Okay.
So the Messiah, in many ways, takes us back to the original intent of God in our relationship to Him through a heavenly priesthood.
So what? Why? Why didn't like Moses? What? Why didn't we? Why didn't the Old Testament originally start with the original? Why did it
Well,
have the original, then Moses'
well,
version, and then Jesus coming back to go to the original?
Well, I think we have this idea, right? So people
Okay.
see here, Romans 10:4 says that the Messiah is the end of the law, right? This is the
Okay.
Greek word telos. This doesn't just mean endo, this means goal. I think it's much better to read this as the Messiah is the goal of the law for righteousness to everyone who
Okay.
believes. So the law on earth, the Torah on earth, is meant to be a schoolmaster to bring us to the Messiah so we can know the right way to live, right? It shows our inadequacy before him and our need for a redeemer.
Okay. So would you say, because I'm actually really interested in law and politics and it as just like a
Yeah.
side subject, right? Would you say like Christianity does have a political structure?
Well, I don't think so. Remember, Israel is a monarchy, basically a
Oh,
monarchical system, right? Ancient
yeah.
Israel with God as king. And I would ask you, like I've asked before in the stream, when
Yeah.
did God ever ask for Israel to have a king? See, God
I'm not.
never asked Israel for a king. God should have always been the king.
Oh,
Israel
okay.
asked for a king, right? But under the new covenant, the body of Messiah is not a political system. There is no like Christian nation or Christian nationalism like that.
Okay.
The
Okay.
body of Messiah encompasses local communities spread throughout the world that make that one group that is his body, right? Across whatever, it doesn't matter cultural boundaries, political affiliations. I mean, there's some politics we shouldn't have if we're believers, but it doesn't really matter what you write on your voter's registration card or what nation you belong to. You belong to God's family, the body of Messiah, the bride of Christ, right? So
And
that's what it is.
yeah, and
Exactly.
God obviously has like his laws of obviously what it means to be a believer, right?
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I think, yeah. So go ahead. I don't want to cut you
yeah,
off.
because when I have this discussion, I've brought it up multiple times where, as far as I was concerned, Christianity doesn't actually have like a political structure. Um, it can influence politics, and it has obviously what it believes to be right and wrong. That's not a political structure. Whereas, so when I was debating Sharia law yesterday, like in the debate that I was talking about, um, they brought this up, the fact that Christians obviously they got their law from the Torah, all this stuff will be carried on. So even their strict laws will be carried on. So thank you for clearing that up. It's basically saying I didn't know that Jesus goes back to the original um,
Heavenly
uh,
tabernacle.
heavenly tablet that was up there. So yeah,
Yeah.
that actually clears up quite a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of times we want to go back to a lot of people want to go, I want to go to the church of Paul, right? And then people say, I want to go to the synagogue of Moses, right? I want to be how it
Okay.
was in Mount Sinai. But the expectation for God and in creation was that he would have a human family to fellowship, love with, have relationship with, right? And be able to have this engagement with his creation that could be enjoyable. But sin gets in the way.
Okay.
Think about the Garden of Eden.
Sin gets in the
In
way.
the
Yeah.
Garden of Eden, though, there was a potential for sin. The only way to deal with the potential for sin in humanity is the path that we went on with the Redeemer Messiah, that there will be a time and place where the redeemed of God would be without sin and will be with him forever, freely choosing him with love that is free, love that's not forced, because forced love is not love. This will be our reality where sin is not a potential. Islam does not present this. No other religious system presents this because sin is never dealt with in any other system except for the biblical worldview.
Okay, wait. Can you elaborate what you mean on that last point? As in
Yeah,
Islam doesn't.
because
Yeah.
Islam doesn't have the notion of the atonement being fully paid by the divine Son of God, right?
Okay.
So if any other, so the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, way before Muhammad was a thought, expresses the idea that the blood of bulls and goats are inadequate for the sins of humanity. Why? Because you, me, we're made in the image of God. We
Yeah.
reflect his nature, his being, his attribute. Reflect. We're not the same, but we're like
Yeah.
him. And we have this sense of value. And because we have this awareness of God, the book of Psalms says that the heaven declares the glory of God. Because we have this awareness of God, we have a responsibility to reflect him rightly. Romans 1:18 talks about this, right? That people suppress the knowledge of God. We owe God our allegiance and obedience and right living because we have an awareness of him being made in his image. That's why when we sin, it is an egregious crime against the Lord. And when your kitty cat sins because it overeats, You know,
Yeah.
it's not sinning, right? Because your cat doesn't have an awareness of God. So because we
Right.
have an awareness of God, when we sin, it is an egregious crime against the creator of the universe. This is why the bloods and bulls and goats cannot atone for you and I, because
Okay.
the blood of bulls and goats and animals don't have the awareness of God. So their
Okay.
innocence can't cover over our iniquity. Therefore, we need
Okay.
a human being to die for us.
Okay.
Here's the problem, though, Adam. Every
Mhm.
human has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Therefore, we need God to take on flesh, born of a virgin, without a sinful nature, to die for you and I, with the authority to lay his life down and pick it up from the other side of the grave, and being able to send the Holy Spirit to enable people to walk in holiness and righteousness. No other system in the world, Islam, traditional rabbinic Judaism, or anywhere else, solves the problem of the debt that man owes to a holy God.
Okay. Okay. So my next question is,
Hold on, pause there.
what's
Pause there.
yeah.
Pause there. Sorry. Hold that thought if you can. If you don't forget it,
Yeah.
write it down. But there was somebody talking in the chat, Radar. He says that, anybody that challenges us, we kick them. So I want to bring you up, Sadie. Are you ready?
Do you want me to mute?
Sadie? Yeah, you can stay though. You don't have to leave or anything.
Yeah.